Hey,
Okay,
Sasha,
recording.
and nice to
Hi,
see you again.
nice
Hey,
to see you.
should you go by Sasha or by Alexandra?
Sasha is okay.
Okay, perfect. All right, well, welcome back. I haven't seen you for 15 years or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself so people would know who this star is?
Okay, so I'm Sasha. I'm from Ukraine. Like I was born in Rivne, but I studied in the university in Kiev. So like after 2008, I moved to Kiev, but it wasn't always the place that I lived in because I've studied Chinese in Kiev University. So I traveled a lot and I lived in China both for work and for study. But like my hometown is Kiev.
Nice. So you studied in China, you said?
Yep. I applied for the university in Kiev to learn Chinese. And we had a
Mhm.
program there, like you're a student and you can just go to China and take a 1 year course there, like to zoom in into language and to learn more about the culture and traditions. So I moved to, it's like the city named Dalian. It's close to the North Korea, but like the city is quite nice. I spent there a year. It was the first time when I was in China. The second time was in Beijing for half of the year,
Mhm.
and the third time it was Hong Kong. I lived there for half of the year, but for work already. And it was the
Nice.
first time in Guangzhou. I spent there almost 2 years.
Oh, wow. So you've been in China for a while.
Yeah, for a while, but not willing to go there back for living for sure.
Which one did you like the most out of all cities?
Hong Kong, like it's
Huh?
like China, but more in Western way. And
Mhm.
Guangzhou actually was okay. It's not that polluted as Beijing is. Beijing, yeah.
Oh, I see. That makes sense. How did
Mhm.
you, where did you learn English? Because it's really good.
I started at school from the first like grade
Mhm.
till 11th. Then in university, I also had English, but you know, like I didn't have a lot of practice. So I knew the
Mhm.
rules, I knew grammar, I could read, translate. But my real English started with my actual like first place of job. I was
Mhm.
hired by the guy from Silicon Valley,
Mhm.
and yeah, and my speaking English is actually his English. I think so.
That's nice. That's nice. So you have worked for the guy from United States while you have been living in Ukraine, right?
Yep, yep. It
Interesting.
was
That's
a funny story. Like I was looking for a job, so one lady called me and invited me to pass the interview with her boss, and it was the guy, like the guy from San Francisco. So he was looking for somebody. He was doing a startup. Like he had an app with the engineers sitting in Ukraine. They were working on app, but from the operational side, everything should happen between China and the US. So he was looking for somebody in Ukraine who can speak English and Chinese. And I passed the interview. And the next week we went to China. He just like took me and put inside of the language and traditions and everything. So he saw that like, okay, she can speak some Chinese. Let's do some work together. And it was in 2015. So after that time, we still work together. And now we are co-founders of the company of like American and Ukrainian company called Blondie. So
mm,
yeah, quite a
interesting.
long story.
Yeah, that's true because that's the topic of our conversation. People want to know
Oh,
how. It's
sorry.
okay. People want to know how do you get to work for American company while you're in Europe, while you're in South America, while you're in Asia, and etc. So tell me a little bit more about Landy, about the company that you and your American mate were co-founders of.
So we are a platform, like global talent acquisition platform. something that's like maybe interesting for your viewers too. So what we actually do, we created a network of recruiters like all over the world in 68 countries, speaking 44 languages. And if some client, like some company, for example, we have now a lot of companies from Silicon Valley, from the US, so they are willing to hire people. But, after this COVID pandemic, when people realized that they can work from home, that it's not that necessary to go to the office. So a lot of employers had that in mind that, okay, if nobody actually is willing to go to the office, why should I employ somebody, for example, in the US and pay 3 times higher price for the salary? If I can employ somebody like with cool talent, like professional person, but like outside of the country. And the problem is here that like you need to find that person, because you do not have any company out of the US, for example. And for you to find a great team, for example, if we are talking about the IT in Eastern Europe, then you will have to go to some recruitment company in Belarus or in Poland or in Ukraine or wherever, and like make a lot of connections to find your best team. And we solve the problems because we are like a single point of contact. You can just go to Landi and tell, okay, so I want this guy with such requirements for such a salary. Please help me to find him. And we will choose the best fitted country or location where you can take this talent and hire it. And we will have to source it to you. And the next thing here is that like very often, if you're a company in the US, you do not have a legal right to employ a person like super officially outside of the US. So the first solution here is either you will make like B2B contract that, for example, as I do work with Landi, like I'm individual entrepreneur in Ukraine that is providing services to Landi, and we are like doing B2B contract. So my company in the US, it doesn't care who is paying taxes. Like it should be me who is paying taxes in Ukraine, not the company in the US. So I signed just some form that I will do it by myself, and that's it. And we are done. So we can work in this way. I provide services and I'm getting paid for the services. And there is another way. Yeah. And there is another way here. And it's very popular between people in Europe, because very often they are willing to be officially employed in their own country because of some medical packages, insurances, etc. So for the purpose of this, a lot of employers, they are using companies called employer of the record. And what those companies do, so they have their own entities registered all over the world. And if, for example, I'm a company in the US who is willing to hire a person from France, I will just find this employer of the record company who has legal presence in France, and I will hire this company to hire a person for me. And I will just pay something on top, like salary to the person plus something on top. And this employer of the record, they will take care of everything else about the payroll, about the benefits, about vacations, about the medical insurance, etc.
Interesting. That's what a lot of people wanted to hear about. So one way is to work as the
contractor, just B2B contract.
Yes, the contract, and another one through this employer of the record, right?
Yeah. If you want to have the full package and you want to be fully secured in your own country, then employer of the record.
Okay, sounds good. So then let's say I am a QA engineer from Italy, and I would like to work from the US company. What do I do? Where do I go? How do I start it?
So, for example, the first thing that you need to get is actually to find this US company you want to work for. And then you can agree. If you can accept like B2B terms, then it's totally fine. You just sign a contract and you will receive money for the services that you provide. You will negotiate either it will be billed hourly or monthly, like you can discuss it between each other. It's like agreement between two sides.
Okay.
Or you can ask your employer whether they use some employer of the record services. and you can be employed through this employer of the record company.
Okay, so then in the first case, I simply go to LinkedIn and start talking to apply for jobs and start messaging companies. Hey, I'm a QA engineer with a lot of experience and development experience. I want to work for your company, and I can solve legal. I know how to solve legal issues with the people working remotely. So if you guys would like to interview me, we can talk about it, and I can tell you more about how we can work together. So you would save money, and I would work for the US company.
I would say that, like, from what we see at Landy, plenty of the companies nowadays, they realize who are employers of the records, and they use those services very often. And even like in our business, a lot of our referrals, they are coming, like we are doing partnership with this employer of the record companies. But as they promote themselves on the web, they are saying that, like, we are doing recruitment like all over the world. So a lot of people, a lot of companies coming to them and saying, okay, so we want to hire a person like in Poland. And then they are just pushing those like clients to us. So we are sourcing people, and employer of the record employ them after.
Oh, okay. That's quite a chain. Interesting.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, so it looks like that shouldn't be too difficult to find a company to work for, as long as you can do it on your own. I mean, if the person,
well, as long as company is willing to pay 30-40% less than they should pay in the US, for example, it would be super easy for you.
That's true. So mostly, what size of companies do you think would mostly go for? Would they be smaller companies, startups, or enterprise, from your experience?
It's like usually middle-sized companies, they are doing things like this. If you are a giant, or if you got an investment, for example, so pretty often companies like to use outsourcing companies. Like, for example, can we talk about Coco here or no?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so if we are talking about Coco delivery, like from what I'm seeing, this is my second week in the company, but still from what I've seen.
Could you please tell people more about Coco? What is this company? Yeah, and
so super cool startup. They are doing deliveries with robots, like last mile delivery from restaurant or from shop, even, I guess, to the clients, and they are doing it with robots. But it's not just simple that robots are driving the streets. There are actually like pilots who are riding those robots on the streets. Like, super cool, typical, as from my point of view, typical American style of bringing food and stuff to people. Idea is super nice, but like from what I've seen after 2 weeks, that it's not that easy to implement, like the whole idea. I will never look at the robots the same way that I did 2 weeks ago. Now I saw how much effort does it take, like, to put everything into one piece. And so from what I see, that Coco Delivery, so what they are doing, they are hiring a lot of outsourcing companies with already created teams who work for their project. And from the cost perspective, this is not the best way, because it's like always better to have your own employees who are sitting like anywhere in the world, but they do work for you, and you do not have to pay something on top to the outsourcing company for providing their team to your project.
Yep.
So but like Coco Delivery, they've got some investments, as I understood, so they can afford it. But if you are a startup or you are just growing, it's not usually that convenient as just to hire directly, but outside of the country.
Yeah, that makes sense. Awesome. Okay, sounds good. So, and you work for American company yourself right now. Can you tell us how did you find this company, and did you have any challenges getting the job there?
With Coco Delivery?
Yeah.
It happened like super accidentally. Like, I was helping actually to find some stuff for our army in Ukraine. and telling you the story that I have a bit of time now because I'm not that overloaded at Landi. And you got that idea. Okay, so maybe I will talk to my like VP of engineering. Maybe we can find something for you to do. And so that is how I joined your team.
Yep. So a little more context for people. I was buying quite a few items for Ukrainian army and friends of mine who are in the army right now, fighting against Russia. And I did not have enough time because I'm working as an engineering manager for Coco Delivery, and I was looking for the trustful person, for the person who I can trust. So he or she would look for those items online, would call the store, make sure the items are available in stock and can be shipped within a matter of days. And Sasha was the one who was like, "Yeah, sure, I can help you with." And within a couple of weeks of our work together, I understood, okay, she is a very responsible person, the person who you can really trust. And then we had a need in our company. We had a need for such a project manager to work with a couple of offshore teams. So I was like, well, and then Sasha told me that, how about your course? I saw that some of the people got 50% raise that you talked about on Instagram, which I
also one idea.
which I will attach a link to right here to our Instagram, Codemify. And then I was like, well, sure, you can join our course, you can learn QA, but if you already had so much experience working as a project manager, like, why don't you just keep doing the same thing if you like it? And then I've talked to my VP of engineering. Sasha got a couple of interviews, and now she's working with me in a Coco Delivery. But anyways, that should be a lesson for everyone, that if you take ownership, if you show people that you're very responsible, you might accidentally get a job for US company. You will not even have to look for it. So that's the story.
I can say that like people they are craving for talents, and it's like from the point of somebody who is looking for a job, you're always thinking that, oh, like there are so many talents all over the world, like of course nobody will need me, like why should anybody need me? But actually it's always been a problem to find the right person, and if you think that you are the one, to just be brave and knock the doors.
Exactly. We are looking for people like crazy. We're growing like on steroids, and we need a lot of people. We need them in US, we need them not in US, we need DevOps, we need data engineers. If you guys are a good DevOps person or a data engineer, hit me up. I'll be more than glad to talk to you. But most likely you're just sitting somewhere in the world, and as Sasha said, you're like, probably no one needs me. How can I knock on someone's door to ask if they need me? But a lot of companies need you. You just don't know about it. You need to show yourself. What I usually do, if I would be you, if I would be you guys, if I would be looking for a job, I would simply go to LinkedIn, write a beautiful professional message, plus attach some GitHub links to your repository if you are a technical person. If you're non-technical, just show your work before you even get a job, and send a message to different companies, to engineers, to managers, and tell them, hey, I like your company. Here's the kind of job that I would like to do, and I would like to help you guys out. Let's have a conversation whenever you have a chance. And this works, trust me. I do get those kind of messages myself. Sometimes people message me, and if I see professionalism, if I see dedication, if I see that the person wants to get a job and is craving for it, person wants to do the job, not only get it and get paid for it, then I will talk to the person. I will help you guys out. I have nothing against anyone. I would like to help good people, as long as you are willing to help yourself.
Yeah, and it's also like, I will be talking about Ukraine now, but we have like some kind of community here, IT community. And usually people know who are the best IT recruiters. So if they're looking for a job, they could just knock the door to those recruiters, and recruiter will keep in mind that, okay, I have this company is looking for a person, so maybe I can connect you guys. Because everybody will get money at the very end. So why not?
That's so true. That's so true. Thank you so much for a positive vibe. Thank you so much for sharing all of the things. I'm pretty sure a lot of people from all over the world will be like, okay, now I know what I need to do. Now I know that I need to simply message the company, that I need to find the company who's willing to hire people. And I know that there are 2 ways to do that, which I will add in the description below. Thank you one more time.
Very welcome, and I wish good luck to all the people who are looking for a job somewhere in the world. It's like super possible now after the pandemic. World has shifted to another way of cooperation.
Great. Sounds like a plan. Alrighty.
Yep.
Thanks for joining us, Sasha. It was a pleasure to talk to you, and I hope we'll talk to you soon again.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.